Hey guys, it's Amber with Thrifty Ninja. Today I'm going to show you something new that I learned how to do that I think you guys are going to love. It's really easy. Even if you don't think that you're crafty, if you don't think you know how to crochet or knit, I'm going to show you how to arm knit. And you can do this and create a scarf in 30 minutes or less. You can have the TV on and be doing this not even thinking. Once you figure it out, it is so simple. It's going to be great for Christmas. If you have someone that you don't know what to get something for them, you can go buy some yarn. All you need is yarn and scissors, and that's it. Here is the first scarf that I made. I used some yarn that I had that was for a baby blanket. And I made this as a normal scarf. It can be made as an infinity scarf too. I'll show you the difference. But it's a big, puffy, fun scarf. It's so warm and it's really cute. I've gotten compliments every time that I wear it. So I want to show you how to do it. I went last night and picked up some yarn at Walmart. Okay, that's all this is. It is Lion brand yarn, and this is actually called Little Rock Granite is the color, in case you really like it. I love it. And I bought the super bulky. That's important. If you try to use normal yarn, it's not going to be as thick and it doesn't look as good. You can still do it, but you may not like the way that it looks as much. And it's not going to be as soft on your neck and everything. The super bulky is really good for that. So let me show you how to get started. Let me get to my ends here. What you first do is take your yarn, and it does take, make sure that you buy 2 yarn. I watched some videos and I could not figure out how they were doing it, and it's because you take the ends of 2 balls of yarn and that's how you do the knitting. So make sure that you get 2. Okay, so start with, you line up the ends, start with about 1 foot and just pull out about 3 foot of yarn. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now you want to start with a slip knot. For some reason, I was not understanding a slip knot. In all the videos that I watched, it was really confusing to me. So I'm going to show you the easiest way. Okay, so I have my 2 fingers here. Okay, it's just, I'm holding the yarn down here. Okay, this is the tail where it's the very end. That's going to be your working, or your tail, and then your working yarn is what's attached to the balls of yarn. Okay, so you separate it by the tail from the working. Okay, I like to use my fingers like this, and I just hold it down at the bottom just to keep it straight. Okay, so you twist. When you twist, you're going to see that that puts 1 yarn on the top and 1 yarn on the bottom. Reach through with your fingers and grab this yarn that's behind. Okay, so the yarn that's on top stays there. Grab through, grab the yarn from behind and pull up. And that gives you your slip knot. It's really easy. So you slip that onto your wrist. Okay, you don't want it to be too big, but you don't want it to be too small. You'll find that if you leave it really big, it makes it easier to work, but it'll put bigger holes in your scarf. So I like to keep it just tight enough to where I can easily get it on and off my hand. Okay, so here I have my tail and I have my working. Okay, now this is where this is the most confusing part of the entire thing, and once you figure this out, you've got the entire scarf. So here's the working and here is the tail. Okay, so I take my fingers, again I use these 2 a lot. So I stick my fingers through, and with these 3 fingers I grab the yarn. Okay, so I just have it separated. Okay, so you have the yarn from the bottom. It's coming on the outside of your thumb and on the outside of your pointer finger. Okay, if you pull it down, okay, you'll see that it kind of makes like an upside down A. Okay, so here is the beginning stitches and the hardest part of the entire thing. It took me a little while to figure it out, and now it's really simple. Okay, so you see where on your thumb, again, it's got where it's got on the top and on the bottom. Okay, take the one that's on the bottom, kind of put your hand through it just a little bit, and then you're going to grab this yarn that is on your pointer finger that's closest, and you just push your hand through and tighten it up, and that's it. So again, you do it again, grab the yarn, grab the yarn, put your pointers through, pull it down, grab this from your thumb, it's on the underneath, go around and just grab this that's closest on your pointer finger and put your hand through. Okay, and you do that as many times as you'd like. This scarf is really, really bulky, and I did 12. I don't think that I would do that many again. I don't like them to be quite that bulky, but it's all dependent on your preference. So, as you see, here is the slip knot that I first started, and here is the next two that I just showed you. So I'll show you again. Okay, grab the yarn, separate it with your two fingers, grab this that's on the underneath of your thumb, reach around and grab this, it's kind of like the middle, and then just push your hand through. Okay, so we're already up to 4. I think I'm going to do 7 on this one. Okay, so grab it, grab this one with your thumb, reach around and grab reach around and grab this, and then just put your hand through. Okay, so we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do 2 more. Okay, so I still, as you can see, I've got my tail, and then I have my working. Grab it with my fingers, separate it, bring that down, grab here from my thumb, reach around, grab this that's on my index or my pointer finger, and then pull it. It gets to be so simple that you won't even think about it anymore. So we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so there's your beginning stitch. I know it doesn't look like much and it's kind of crazy looking, but that's how you start. Okay, so I still have my tail. That just kind of sits there now. I don't do anything with it. Here's my working yarn. So this is the yarn that's attached to my 2 balls of yarn. So I grab that, the working yarn, with my hand that has the stitches in it. Okay, and here is how you're going to do all of your knitting stitches. Okay, you take your next or your first stitch that you have here, while you have the working yarn in your hand, you pull your hand through, and you see you make like a little hole here. You stick your hand through that, and then you just tighten it up. And that's it, that's a stitch. So again, I have all my stitches on here. These are the ones I'm moving. I hold my working yarn, I just pull my hand through. Okay, make sure when you're doing with your hand here and you're moving it, you take your hand from the back forward. Okay, and then it just creates your stitches. Okay, so again, working yarn in my hand, I pull the stitch over, it creates a hole, my hand goes from the back forward, and then I just tighten it up a little bit. Okay, I know it looks crazy, it looks like it's a mess, but I promise you it will look better as you keep going. I had redone mine a whole bunch of times thinking that I was doing it wrong, and then I just said, you know what, I'm just going to keep going and see what happens, and it turned out perfect. So, working yarn in my hand, slip my stitch over, create my hole, hand goes from the back in. Okay, and you just want to make sure that you don't get these too tight on your wrist, because they do have to come back over your hand again. So if they're too tight, then it gets really difficult to try to get them on and off. Okay, working yarn, slips over my hand, creates a hole. This hand goes from the back in. I just tighten it up a little bit. Working yarn, goes over my wrist, creates the hole. My other hand goes from the back in. Okay, and so you just keep doing this. We're almost done with this one. So now create my last hole, and it goes back in here. So now you have your first real stitches of your scarf. Look at that. You never would have thought that it would have looked like that from what it looked like just a minute ago, right? So now you just do the opposite. So I've got my working yarn again. I hold it in this hand now, since this is the hand that has all my stitches on it. I take the closest stitch, pull my hand through, create the loop. My hand goes from the back in. I tighten it up just a little bit. And usually when I tighten it, I'm using the hand that has the stitches. So I already have it in my hand for my next stitch to come over, which helps. And that's just a habit. I don't know if that's really how you're supposed to do it or not, but it works for me. So got my hole, my hand goes from the back forward, tighten it up a little bit, hold it, create my loop, hand through, okay? And we just keep going. This gets super easy. You'll do it without even thinking. And my yarn got a little knotted here. Okay. And we just moved all of our stitches over again. Okay, so as you can see, there they are. That's the back, and then that's the front. Okay, it's a little bit prettier on the front than the back, but that's what you're going to be seeing whenever you work on it. So I'm going to finish up this scarf, and then I'll be back to show you how to end it. Okay. Okay, so I have finished up my scarf. Okay, you see I have made it long enough. You see there that it's nice and comfy, it's perfect size. That's normally how I check how long to make it, is I just try it on myself. So now we need to finish it off. We need to bind the end. Okay, as you can see, this is the end where we started. You've got your tail still on there, and it's binded nice. Okay, so now we have the working yarn here. So what we do is we start the same way that we were doing the knitting before. So I have all of my stitches here. I've got my working yarn. I grab it, I pull through, create my loop, and put my hand through, and then tighten it up again. Make sure it's not too loose, or too tight, or too loose. Okay, you've got your working yarn. You pull it through again, create another loop, and put your hand through. Okay, it looks pretty much like all the knitting that has gone through here, but now this is where it's different. So I'm going to drop my working yarn. I'm going to pull the very first stitch over. See, this is why I had a little too tight. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, so that's why you don't want to have it too tight. Okay, so working yarn, I drop it. Here's my first stitch. I pull my hand through, and I just tighten it up. Okay, so you have where the first one is tied off. It's no longer the 2 stitches, you only have 1 now. So I'm back to my working yarn in my hand. I pull over the next stitch. I make my loop. I put my hand through. Okay, so now we have 2 stitches on our arm again. Take the one that is closest to your body, or the one that's been on your wrist longer. Pull it over the other. and then you tighten it up. Okay, and you just keep going. So I've got my working yarn. I take my next stitch, put my hand through. Okay, that creates my 2 stitches on my hand. You take that original stitch that you had on there, pull it through, and you tighten it up. Okay, working yarn through, create your loop. You go through, you've got your 2 stitches. You take that outside one, put it through, and you tighten it up. Okay, that, you take that original and grab your working yarn again, and you just tighten it up. Okay, so you just keep going. I have all of it. As you can see, it's all binded off now. I'm on my very last one. Okay, so here is where it's a little bit different, because I don't want to have it all come unraveled, which I've done before. So you hold your working yarn, you pull it through. Okay, don't let go of the working yarn, and you tighten it up. Okay, it kind of creates another slip knot. So you can just pull it to get a little bit tight, and then reach through, pull your working yarn again, and again do that same type of knot. Okay, I do that a couple times. I'm very, very anal about thinking that things are going to come unraveled or not work, so I always extra knot things. Okay, so here's the last one. You just keep pulling it through, tightening it up, and you have a knot. Now, here is where you still have your working yarn attached. I cut it off long so that I have a nice working tail. So now you have a tail on both ends. So if you want to create an infinity scarf, this is the easiest, quickest way to do it. You want to lay your scarf out so that you make sure that you don't have any twists in it. Okay, because I don't have room to be able to show you that here. I'll just show you. If we hold it together like this, you want to create a bind between the 2 ends. So you're going to put both of the ends together so that you have both of the outsides together. And you would just take your ends and just whip them around. Just, if you're sewing, you can use one of the yarn needles. I did one the other day, and I just used my fingers though, because it's so big and chunky and you have big holes, so it's easy to just put your fingers through and just do it that way if you want to create the infinity scarf. If not, that's fine too. All you need to do is not, make sure that you have this to where it's not going to come undone. Which normally that's, I would just pull the whole tail through and just tighten it. Okay, so I just pulled this was the working yarn that I cut off. I just pulled it right through, and now I have a nice knot on here that's not going to come out. Now I can take that and just work it into the yarn that's already on here, and that way you won't be able to see the ends. I'll cut it a little bit shorter, of course, because I don't want to have to weave in all that, or on the other end I still have a really long tail. So I'm just going to cut both of those and weave them in, and then I have a really nice scarf that is super soft, super warm, and really nice for the winter and all of the crazy snow that we've had in the past couple days. So I hope that you understood. If not, please leave me a message and let me know, and I can clarify for you. I'm going to try to also do this tutorial in pictures and have it on my blog, thriftyninja.net. So be sure to check that out if you're having any troubles. Thanks.